There's something deeply unsettling about the things we can't explain. Not shadows, not nightmares, but real moments that happened in real life that still don't make sense, no matter how much you try to rationalize them. Tonight, I'm going to tell you 3 stories, each one completely real, each one impossible to forget. And by the end, you might start questioning something simple. Are we ever truly alone? Story 1. The sound in my brother's room. I grew up in a house where nobody believed in anything paranormal. Not ghosts, not spirits, nothing. My family, especially my older brother, was extremely logical. Everything had an explanation. That's why what happened to me in 7th grade never sat right with me. One afternoon, I came home from school like usual, dropped my bag, went straight to my room, put in my earbuds, and started watching videos. My mom had texted me earlier. She and my dad would be working late. And my brother? He was supposed to leave soon to hang out with a friend. So within minutes, I knew I'd be home alone. Now, here's something about me back then. I hated being alone in the house. Not because of ghosts, but because of this weird feeling I always had. Like, if I stayed quiet enough, no one would know I was there. I paused my video and went to the bathroom. The layout of our house was strange. The bathroom sat between my room and my brother's, with the stairs just down the hallway. I was about to flush the toilet when I heard it. A loud thud from my brother's room. At first, I didn't think much of it. I figured he was getting ready to leave. But then, everything went silent. Too silent. I stood there, frozen. Something didn't feel right. You know that feeling when your body reacts before your brain understands why? Yeah, that. Then I heard it. A voice. Low, muttering, coming from my brother's room. But it wasn't him. It wasn't my dad either. It didn't even sound normal. I couldn't understand the words, but I could hear certain sounds, like S or T, just enough to know it was a voice. Then came the footsteps, slow, heavy, moving down the hallway toward the bathroom. I immediately backed away from the door. My heart was pounding so loud I thought it might give me away. The footsteps stopped right outside. I covered my mouth, trying not to breathe. Then, nothing. A few seconds passed, or maybe minutes, I couldn't tell. Then suddenly, the footsteps continued, past the bathroom, toward the stairs. And then, crash. Something slammed hard, like it fell down the stairs. Then again, lower this time. And then, silence. A moment later, I heard the front door open, then close, and the house alarm announced it. I thought it was over. I thought whatever that was had left. But I was wrong, because just seconds later, from right beside the bathroom, I heard violent banging on the laundry chute door, like someone was jamming something into it from below, over and over and over again. The small door shook violently. I just stood there, completely frozen, watching it rattle. Then it stopped, just like that. I stayed in that bathroom for what felt like hours. Eventually, I ran to my room and waited, holding my door shut until my parents came home. They didn't believe me. My brother didn't either. But when I told him the full story, he went quiet. Then he said something I'll never forget. He told me that sometimes, late at night, he used to hear noises coming from the attic hatch in his room.
We never spoke about it again.
Story 2. The Man Next Door. When I was 16, I lived with my mom in a small apartment in the Bronx. And if you've ever lived there, you know, it can feel a little unpredictable. Our apartment was near the end of a long hallway, and the last apartment, that's where he lived. He was always there, sitting by the window, watching. Didn't matter what time it was, morning, night, didn't matter. He'd just sit there, staring. My mom always told me, stay away from him. We didn't even know his name. But one day, things got worse. He started greeting me, but not just hello. He said my name. I had no idea how he knew it, and honestly, I didn't want to find out. Then one night, my mom had to work late, which meant I'd be alone. I got home around 9 p.m., and like always, he was there, watching. This time, he asked me something. "Your mom working tonight?" I hesitated, but then I nodded. Worst mistake I ever made. Later that night, while I was in the shower, I heard something, a low, strange, scraping noise. I turned off the water, listened. It came again, from my bedroom. I rushed out and checked everything, closet, under the bed, nothing. That's when I noticed it, a tiny hole in the wall. At first, I thought it was nothing, but something felt off, so I got closer. Then, I looked through it and immediately fell backwards, because on the other side was an eye watching me. I froze. Then, it hit me. That wall connected to his apartment. I ran back to the bathroom and searched the wall. Another hole, same size. He had drilled them to watch me. My hands were shaking as I called my mom. Then someone knocked on the door, hard. It was him, yelling, "Open the door! I didn't drill those holes." I backed away as my mom told me to call the police. Within minutes, they arrived and everything came out. He had been spying on me for who knows how long. He was arrested, evicted. But even now, I can't forget that moment, looking through that hole and realizing someone had been watching me the entire time. Story 3. Something in the woods. A few years ago, my friend and I went camping. He was experienced, the kind of guy who avoids campsites because he wants the real wilderness. So naturally, he took us somewhere completely isolated. No people, no lights, just forest. We set up camp, started a fire. Everything felt normal until it didn't. Late at night, we heard footsteps. At first, we thought it was an animal, but then it started circling us, slowly, getting closer. Then came the sound, a clicking, growling, unnatural noise, not like anything I've ever heard before. My friend told us to get in the tents, so we did. And that's when I saw it, a shadow projected onto the tent wall, tall, standing on 2 legs, moving slowly, not human, not animal, something else. Then a scream from the other tent, "Run!" We didn't think, we just ran through the dark, no flashlights, nothing. But we could hear it behind us, following, heavy footsteps closing in. We somehow made it to the car, jumped in, and drove.
But the road, it ended, a dead end. Panic set in. As my friend tried to turn the car around, we waited in silence, watching the woods, terrified it would appear again. Finally, he turned the car and we got out. We left everything behind, but one thing stuck with us. Whatever that was not an animal, and it definitely wasn't human.
People always say there's an explanation for everything, but sometimes there isn't. Sometimes you hear something, see something, experience something that stays with you, not because you understand it, but because you never will. So next time you're home alone, or walking past someone who feels off, or sitting in the woods at night, just remember, some things aren't meant to be explained, and some things might still be watching.